Hello and welcome back to Copenhagen Fashion Week. Small talks, big conversations and on the subject of tech and how to nurture change. My name is Johan Wirfält and I'm a journalist and a cultural director at Kulturhuset Stadsteatern in Stockholm, Sweden. That's right, we're in Sweden, streaming live from A House in Stockholm. Today's conversation will explore how activism online and beyond is changing fashion, both in terms of how the industry works, but also how we think of fashion on a conceptual level. Fashion, of course, has always been a reflection of society as a whole, both locally and globally. A more conservative society usually manifests itself in people dressing to conform to strict norms. On the other hand, radical movements like the counterculture in the 60s or today's gender fluid movement will inspire fashion which breaks with tradition and norms. So in many ways, social media is now the main platform for communicating ideas and thoughts on politics and culture, and consequently also the main driver of new fashion trends. When movements like Black Lives Matter gain traction on a global scale, you will see many brands responding immediately. So how has activism and technology affected fashion over the last decade? How can you catalyze change and progress as a brand? And how do you avoid what many consumer brands do, which is just jumping on the bandwagon, appropriating activist slogans while not caring about the deeper political change that these movements strive for? Here to discuss these issues with me is Frida Bard, who's the creative director of Swedish fashion house Hope. Welcome, Frida.
Thank you.
So how are things today? You're getting closer to your show here in Copenhagen. So can you tell us a little about that?
Yes. We are going to present a digital show here at Copenhagen Fashion Week, and it will be on Wednesday, 10 a.m. Sorry. And we will be participating only in a digital way this season. So it's a brand new way of meeting our customers and meeting our community. And we are presenting the Spring Summer 21 collection, featuring the LGBTQ plus activist and model Nella and Gingo, and model Tresor Amicia, and Nella is discussing the construction of the gaze. And for us at Hope, it's important to use our platform to bring light to voices that needs to be heard and to drive political and social change. So we're committed to help tell these stories that needs to be told by the people who deserves to be listened to. And when we got the chance to fill our brand page with material and content, we reached out to a few persons that we admire to ask them to contribute. So we're using the platform we have to bring light to voices and people, to other creatives within the field of fashion and culture, such as curator Silvana Lagos and stylist and journalist Tsemaye Opodor, designer and queer princess Ada Svärd, and author Swad Ali, to mention a few.
Excellent. And because you have been at Hope for 5 years now, yeah? And I know one of the first things you did when you got there was that you invented this new system of sizing. Can you tell us a little about that and what that means for the greater idea and concept of Hope?
Yes, Hope is a brand that puts style first and gender second. So by introducing the double size labeling in spring 17, it was, we kind of guide our customers through this process to place style before gender. So every garment has both men's and women's sizes written on them.
And how does that work out? So basically, is it just that there will be like a smaller size for men and a bigger for women, or how is the sort of the technical aspects? Because I imagine it must be sometimes the fits will be different and so on, right?
Yeah, I mean, we do have two collections. So one collection is cut from traditional women's sizes and one from men's. So if you find your sizing to be the first one, it will be from the men's sizing, and the second would be women's. So that would be a hint on for if you're more familiar with buying the women's sizing, which one you should choose from the men's. So of course it's not 100% correct, but it's a hint and kind of a way to have more people experience the full collection and just go for the things they like and not simply by the division, how you divide men's and women's.
Yeah. So if you look at it from like a more general level and not only from the hope perspective, so to speak, how do you think that brands can catalyze change? Which are sort of the best ways of doing this?
I mean, I truly believe in the importance of being transparent with your goals, actions, and also mistakes. And of course, change doesn't come overnight. It's a process, and it starts within yourself and as a brand within the company. So for us at Hope, it's really important to listen into other communities that we're necessarily not familiar with, to listen and to learn and study other cultures, to raise awareness, bring light to questions that is not always put at the forefront, to elevate people and to let their voices be heard. And I think that we take every chance we have to send out stories and messages to our community and inspire them, and to make sure that they can take part of different storytelling by different type of personas that they might not have been meeting before in the fashion environment.
Yeah, because I mean, the world seems to be in a very political moment right now. So many brands, both in and outside of fashion, are getting inspiration from or mirroring activist movements and social justice movements. But as I mentioned earlier, there also seems to be a bit of this jumping on the bandwagon thing going on with different brands. So do you see a risk there that this could happen? I mean, not necessarily for Hope, but in general, that just brands say that, okay, this is like the cool thing to do right now, so we'll get on that trend?
I mean, of course, it's with everything. You need to be genuine with what you do. If you're starting a sustainable label, you need to really make sure that you do the correct actions. And I think for us, that was one of the reasons why we implemented the double size labeling in 2017, because we started with doing a small capsule collection we called Changes. That was in the fall 2016. And that was a completely gender fluid collection in collaboration with different creatives and persons with activism and strong LGBTQ plus connections in Copenhagen, together with Danish Moon. But we felt that we wanted to go deeper into this and make sure that this is something that we will continue working with and send a message that it's for real, basically.
And at Hope, outside of that, outside of the double sizing and being this platform for different voices, how do you work with all the changes that is happening in the fashion industry at the moment?
I mean, it's true. It's been a lot of changes in the fashion business going on for quite some while, even before the pandemic. And I think we have seen positive changes. It's more diverse castings, it's more representation among the creatives, and it's more people interested in the sustainability questions. But at the same time, we have a market demanding higher news value in a faster pace to lower price. So the changes aren't going fast enough. But what I sense since the pandemic started is that it has speeded things up, which is a contradiction to that we have been forced to slow down, which is, I think, for the fashion industry, basically what we needed, because the kind of we were forced to press the stop button and to step out of our production cycles, sales cycles, and I think that this has given us a chance as creatives, as companies, to evaluate what we are doing, for whom are we doing this and why, and what is our production worth, really. So I think it has given us a little bit more wisdom in a way, and I really hope that this will make us act more responsibly in the future. But I also sense that it made us more global in a way, but at the same time we act more physically local, of course, since we're not traveling. And with that I mean that I feel a wider awareness of that we are quite connected in the world, that we're facing the same sort of problematic situations caused by the pandemics. Here in Spain, in South Africa, it's similar, even if we have different scenarios, of course. And also, like you said, before the Black Lives Matters movement and the demonstrations starting in US, it also made us address our own problems here and acting on a local level as well. So I think, with that said, it's a lot of good things that comes out from something that is really difficult.
So what you're saying is that in a way the pandemic is sort of speeding up certain trends that you think are necessary for going forward towards a more sustainable fashion industry?
I think so. I mean, the way we now are forced to stay local and can't travel makes us meet both within the business, in our work with factories and within global teams and so on. We are doing all the interaction and meetings digitally, and also end customers. It's only met digitally. So now we see, like this year, we see a digital and half digital fashion weeks. We see a big rise of these digital showrooms as well. Buyers won't travel anymore. They stay at home doing their purchases. So, yeah.
And just going to close things off, going back to the issue of activism, do you think that in the end, can fashion be more than clothes? And if so, how? Because I mean, in the end, you're producing stuff for people to buy. It's not a political movement.
No.
Right.
I mean, the idea behind the presentation and collection, Spring Summer 21, was how via clothing and makeup you could twist the perspective of one's gaze and the surroundings. So this is something that's been a great interest of mine since always, and part of why I work with fashion. And I think that, I mean, clothes are so much more than fabric on your body. It's powerful communication, and it's one of our most direct tools for self-expression. So, of course, it's very personal how you choose to use these tools, and how you react on like normative dress codes and external expectations. But I think that to be aware of the communication values of garments and what it means when a blouse is worn by different people and in different occasions, it's important to take notice to. And if you're aware of that, you can easily be, you can follow, you can be provocative, you can be political, and yeah, So absolutely.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Frida, and thank you to everyone watching. Please tune in again. We will be broadcasting more small talks and big conversations from CopenhagenFashionWeek.com.